Hello and welcome to the first episode of Dad Life, a Dog's Breakfast. I'm your host. Now, firstly and foremostly, I'm not yet a dad. I'm an expectant dad with my partner currently 11 weeks pregnant. So we're going to be going through the journey of the pregnancy each week with an episode, and just be me chronicling the journey, the ups and downs, things that work, things that don't work, and hopefully someone apart from myself will get something from all of this. In terms of the pregnancy, just getting straight into it, for us was a planned pregnancy, so high five there, well done. And as you can imagine, just a huge life-changing moment. It was kind of surreal. I think that was the main sort of feeling over the first 5-6 weeks until we got that first scan. It was a really surreal feeling, a bit like a dream. And it probably wasn't until I saw the heartbeat on the monitor for the first time at the 6-week scan. We saw it, but we couldn't hear it yet. That's for the 12-week scan, which we've got coming up. But that first time I saw it, it was just incredible. And I held it together pretty well when we were in the ultrasound room. But once we got back to the car, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I let all the emotions just flow over me, turned into a blubbering mess because it was just awesome news. Life-changing, as you can imagine, but it was just fantastic to sort of see the heartbeat there and know that this is happening and this is real. We sort of have a little bit of a moment prior to that scan leading up to it where we thought maybe all my partner's symptoms sort of completely disappeared. But seeing that heartbeat just made everything real and made everything just so much more awesome. I think one of those things that sort of I assume is normal, let's say it's normal, is just that mixture of emotions as well. That sort of surrealness to it. Surrealness, I'm not sure if that's a word, but the surrealism of it all for the first sort of few weeks until we saw that scan, saw the heartbeat, the excitement. There's an undercurrent of sort of fear and uncertainty as to whether or not I'm going to be a good dad or anything like that. And I think that's a normal feeling. And that's something that my partner and I have discussed multiple times, and we continue to talk about it because I think that's like the best way to do it is if we're sort of each other's sounding board for these things. It makes things just a little bit simpler. And going on with that, a big thing is to be an emotional anchor for your partner, and sort of vice versa, because normally, pregnancy brings on hormonal changes, fatigue, morning sickness, nausea, all that kind of stuff. And for my partner personally, the morning sickness wasn't too bad, but the nausea was through the roof to the point where she went to the doctors, got some medication, which solved the problem. And that's probably something which we can all take from this one, lads, is that if your partner's not feeling crash hot, encourage them to go to the doctors, drive them if they can't drive themselves, and just sort of be there. There's not a lot you can do. Just being there is awesome. But if they're not feeling well, encourage them to go to the doctors. There's so many different medications that can help them. They don't need to suffer needlessly. And for us, we just need to just encourage them as best we can for those sorts of things. And in terms of just being there as well, listening is a really good thing because we can't actually help in a lot of the situations. And I'm guilty of this all the time where I come up with practical solutions for things and I'm thinking pragmatically to try and get a solution. For a lot of this stuff, there are no solutions that I can sort of help with. I just need to listen, just sort of shut my mouth and listen, and just be just a good sounding board and support for my partner. And it's sort of difficult sometimes because I like to just get on with things and get things sorted, problem solve, but I'm not able to do that in this situation. And there's an undercurrent of sort of helplessness that I feel. But again, that's something that my partner and I talk about all the time, and I find different ways to get around that. And things like cooking, cleaning, going to the shops to pick up stuff, things like that. Another thing for us fellas is education on these sorts of things. Just reading up on the development of the embryo, which then turns into a fetus, and the different sizes and development stages that it goes through. and also understanding the impact that's having on your partner's body and how that makes your partner feel as well. We have an app that we use that is called, as I get it up, What to Expect. There's a whole bunch of different apps out there, and I'm sure they're all as good as each other, but it's just a good thing to have. It tracks the baby size, how the pregnancy is going in terms of weeks and days, but also talks about different things that your partner might be feeling, different things that the baby's doing, and it's just really good to have that sort of one-stop shop for those things there, so you can get a bit of an understanding about what's going on. And another thing with that about understanding what's going on is and I spoke about just being there with your partner and driving them to appointments and whatnot, and that's a huge thing, is going to the prenatal checkups and the different doctor's appointments with your partner. There's certain ones where they might just be getting a blood test or something like that, and they might not want you there for that for whatever reason, or might not feel that they need that support on that particular day. But for like the first appointment with the doctors, definitely be there for that one. Any scans, any stuff like that, you want to make sure you're attending those things. It just builds a stronger relationship between you and your partner, and you understand what your partner's going through a lot better. You understand the stages that your baby's going to be going through a lot better as well, which is really important. Another point, and this is a point that I'm 39, so I'm sort of past that wild partying stage, so it's not a huge thing. We have discussed it, my partner and I, but a big thing is understanding the changes to your life. So your partner's going through epic changes to her body right now, and she's going to have to deal with that for not just the length of the pregnancy, but probably the same amount of time afterwards. So that's like 18 months of your partner dealing with changes to her body, and then trying to get back into shape, and the issues that come with that post-pregnancy, but also the changes to your lifestyle, which is the big thing that hits us, because we sort of don't have a lot going on for the first 9 months, and then once the baby's born, huge changes. We've got close friends that are going through this right now. They got a 3-month-old, and they're both running off minimum amount of sleep that you can imagine each night, but they work together as a team, and old mate's not going out trying to drink heaps or anything like that. He's been a really supportive partner, and the main thing that they do really well is they work as a team, and they both accepted this massive epic change to their lifestyle, and they've just sunk their teeth into it. And it's a really good example to watch them do things, and I'll probably reference old mate a few times as a really good example of how to be a parent, especially in those early stages, and just accepting the changes to your lifestyle. You can't be a party boy if you've got a 2-week-old baby at home. You need to be there doing the right thing, supporting your partner, and supporting your baby and building those bonds with your baby. Even though the bonds are going to be probably more with the mum at that stage, you still got to be there, putting in those hard yards. And that brings me to my next point, which is build a strong partnership. I spoke about old mate and the way he helps his partner, and everything they do is a partnership. It's not 50-50, because their young bub needs the mum more for breastfeeding, and they sort of still feel a part of the womb for months afterwards. So you're not really needed as such, there's sort of for lack of a better term, but old mate is still there, putting in the hard yards, getting up during the night, sanitizing and cleaning bottles, or doing the washing, or doing the cooking and the cleaning around the house, taking the dog for a walk. He's doing everything he can to support his partner, both with sort of the raising of their young bub, but also with things around the house where his partner can't do that. He's taken on a lot of that stuff, and it's awesome to watch. There's a really good example to watch close up, and to see what works and what doesn't work. And a lot of stuff that old mate's doing is a really good example. So I'll keep referencing back to him as we go through, but mainly because it's a good example of what we can be doing as fellas to make that sort of sense of helplessness lessened and diminished by just finding work and doing something. And the next point here is something that I certainly need to do more of, and that's bonding with your baby. Even though the baby is tiny, like proper tiny for us at the moment, I think it's the size of a large strawberry, so that's epically small. So the point that a lot of people say is to start talking to your partner's belly and communicating with your child. I have done it sporadically and haven't really done much of it. So that's something I can certainly work on. And they reckon that there's a certain point where your baby can hear you and it recognises your voice and your partner's voice once it's born. So I'll have to delve more into that myself and to start building a far better connection with the child now, so that, hopefully it pays dividends in months and years to come. And the final point, and this is a huge one, is for us fellas, because our partners are going through so much, we often forget to look after ourselves. But being an expectant dad comes with an epic amount of pressures, and you need to do things for yourself to keep yourself regulated, both physically, mentally, emotionally. So if you've got a gym routine, try your best to still try and go to the gym. You might spend less time there, but still doing something, or just going for a walk around the block, maybe by yourself or with your partner, and just make sure that you're doing things that keep you in a really good headspace. And talk to your partner about stuff that's going on, your fears, uncertainties, and that'll help you build a really good connection with your partner, and she'll understand where you're at and be able to help you through what you're going through, and you'll be able to better help her with what she's going through as well. Because there's huge demands on both of us, being, the expectant dad and expectant mum. And if we talk to each other about those things, then we're going to be better off in the short term and in the long term. But yeah, for the fellas, if you need to talk to a professional, go talk to a professional, because it's such an epic life change that if we sort of stick our heads in the sand and act like everything's going to be all right and just tough it out, and then all of a sudden we can't leave the house for weeks or months at a time because we're looking after a baby, like that's a huge change instantly in our lives, and we need to be doing the best we can to prepare for that. And if you're struggling with it, or you think you might struggle with it, it will pay dividends to talk to someone. And you can do it in person, or you can do like over the phone, or it's like a video link call or something like that, but it's well worth it. And for however much they are, it's going to pay dividends. So if you're struggling at all, or you think you might, look after yourselves, lads, and make sure you get a little bit of assistance now, so that when little bub rocks up, you're ready to rock and roll to be the best dad you possibly can. And that's where I'll leave it for this episode. I'll try and make things flow a little bit better on the next one, see how we go, and we'll go from there. Cheers.